the scream that split the air that afternoon. God, it didn't even sound human at first. That was my own daughter, and it's burned in my brain forever. I dropped the garden hose right there in the grass, and I bolted across the yard, heart thudding like it wanted out of my chest. And all I could think was, please, please not my girl. When I reached her, she was sprawled out on the pavement near our mailbox, her little pink helmet askew, one training wheel on her bike spinning in the quiet. And there was blood, way too much blood. I remember dropping to my knees, hands shaking so bad I could barely touch her shoulder, and her eyes were huge and scared, her mouth open, but nothing coming out. I couldn't even find the wound at first, just red everywhere, soaking through her white shirt. And then I looked up. Karen was standing right there on her porch, not moving, not panicking, just stone-faced, her hand wrapped around a pistol like it was nothing. No shock, no guilt, just that dead-eyed stillness like she'd rehearsed this scene. She didn't even bother to call for help. She just turned, walked back inside her house, and closed the door like my little girl bleeding on the sidewalk was some neighborly inconvenience. I yelled for someone, anyone, to call 911, and neighbors came running. Mrs. Aguilar from 2 doors down, Mr. Langston from across the street. Someone fumbled their phone trying to dial. Sirens started up in the distance, wailing, but it felt like they were worlds away. I just kept whispering to my daughter, "You're gonna be okay, sweetheart," even though my hands were sticky with her blood and I had no clue if I was lying. Paramedics took over their uniforms bright against the blur of red and blue lights, and then they loaded her into the ambulance and slammed the doors. And I stood there in the driveway, drenched in blood that wasn't mine, watching Karen's porch light flick on like she was settling in for a normal evening. Just that morning, the world had made sense. 6 hours earlier, the neighborhood was all soft golden sunlight, birds chirping the hum of a regular day. My daughter was giggling, riding circles on her pink bike in the driveway, her helmet sparkling in the sun, waving at Mrs. Jensen and shouting, "Hi" to the mailman before he even reached our side of the street. That's all she was, just this bright, innocent little light. It all shifted around 10 a.m. when Karen showed up, clipboard in hand, mouth pinched, just glaring at the chalk rainbows and flowers my kid had drawn on the sidewalk the night before. She called it graffiti. Yeah, chalk, can you believe it? She'd complained twice before always jotting things in her HOA report. She scribbled something and stormed back to her house, and I just rolled my eyes and let it go because that was Karen, right? Petty, but not dangerous. Or so I thought. See, Karen had always been a thorn in everyone's side, not just ours. She was the HOA president, self-appointed sheriff of the block. Our first week living here, she left a note about our garbage cans being visible from the street. Then it was our grass a 1/4 inch too long, she said. When we decorated for Christmas, she fined us because our lights were too bright. If anyone parked too close to the sidewalk, she snapped a photo and sent it out in the monthly newsletter. She even wrote us up for my daughter's chalk butterflies. Yeah, chalk, like a felony in her book. I tried to reason with her once, asked if she could just let kids be kids. She didn't even blink. Rules are rules. If you want to live here, follow them. That's Karen. She went after everybody called animal control on the Stevensons' golden retriever for barking, made a big stink about birthday balloons tied to mailboxes, claimed it was a federal offense. She used her power like a hammer, and everyone just ducked and hoped she'd swing it somewhere else next time. Then a few months back, she started installing cameras, one above her garage, another disguised as a birdhouse in the tree line between our yards. Said it was for safety. We all knew it was just surveillance, Karen keeping her eyes on everybody, waiting for someone to slip up. Still, we shrugged it off. What else could we do? Paid the fines, moved the toys, told ourselves she was just lonely, desperate for purpose. Never in a million years did I think she'd point a gun at my 5-year-old. But you look back and all the signs were there. We just didn't want to see them. That afternoon, the air was thick summer heat, making everything shimmer, cicadas, buzzing so loud it felt electric. My daughter was back on her bike, singing her basket, bouncing over the sidewalk. I just stepped out with a cold drink when I heard Karen again barking from her porch, finger pointed. She's on the line. That sidewalk is HOA property. I warned you." My kid had ridden about a foot onto the public sidewalk, her training wheels spinning harmlessly. "Karen, please," I said, holding up my hand. "She's 5. Karen's face twisted. "You people think the rules don't apply to you. This is the last time." Something in her eyes. "Yeah, I'll never forget it." Not just mad, something darker, like she was holding on to sanity by her fingernails. I warned her right back. "If you threaten us again, I'm calling the police." She just stared at me, her voice flat. "Do it. You'll wish you had sooner." Then she disappeared into her house. I stood there unsettled, expecting another nasty email, another letter, maybe a complaint. My daughter kept riding her slow circle, humming her little song. Then that single crack, one sound, one heartbeat, and my world just shattered. My drink hit the ground and I ran. I saw my daughter's body jerk, her bike tip over everything, moving in slow motion. The cicadas suddenly dead silent, the wind stopping the spin of her training wheel. Blood spreading on the concrete, her hands twitching, mouth open, trying to scream. I dropped to my knees, sobbing her name, trying to keep her awake. And there was Karen, standing on her porch, gun still in hand, looking like she'd done the right thing. She turned, walked inside, closed the door, and left me there. Neighbors came running. I screamed for help, for 911, for anything. I couldn't leave my daughter's side. I held her, rocking her, whispering prayers and promises I had no idea how to keep. The sirens grew closer, but it felt like hours. Paramedics arrived, did their work. Police showed up, but instead of storming Karen's house, they just stood there, clipboard in hand, asking questions, writing things down like it was a parking dispute. I told them she has a gun, she shot my kid, she's in there. They nodded, said they'd handle it. And still nothing. The neighborhood filled up with people, not just rubberneckers, but folks who'd gotten Karen's wrath before, people with their own stories, their own scars. Mrs. Jensen leaned over, voice steady. "I've seen her with that gun before." Mr. Langston said Karen had followed his teenage son, accused him of stealing mail. Others piped up she'd called the cops about loud music, threatened kids on skateboards, screamed at toddlers, blowing bubbles. All of us had stories, but we'd never pieced them together until now. That's when it shifted. Suddenly the police were taking statements, reviewing video, not just jotting notes. Someone had doorbell footage, Karen stepping out with the gun. The officers taped off her yard, the neighborhood crowded in tight. No one defended her. We all just watched her dark windows, waiting. Hours passed and Karen's house was silent. Police stood around talking into radios, but still didn't go in. I stood behind the tape fists clenched, staring at the house. Rage and helplessness churning inside me. My wife called from the hospital. "Have they arrested her yet?" I didn't know what to say. All I could do was pace and wait, same as everyone else. Night fell. That's when the SWAT vans showed up, black trucks, armored vests, rifles. Suddenly it was clear this was no HOA spat. They moved in silent and tight, their motions practiced. A negotiator called out over a bullhorn. "Karen Wilburn, come out with your hands up." No answer. Another shout. Nothing. Then a shadow flicked past a window. SWAT gave a warning. A flashbang went off, white light, a crash, and the front door was gone. A tidal wave of bodies moved in. In seconds, they dragged Karen out, zip ties on her wrists, shouting something nobody could hear over the sirens. And just like that, the woman who'd lorded over us with fines and letters was led away furious and powerless. Karen was charged that night aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, unlawful discharge of a firearm. The neighborhood buzzed with whispers like nobody could believe it had finally happened. Her mugshot was on the morning news. My daughter, by some miracle, survived. The bullet missed her heart by inches. She'd walk again, but it would take time. Emotional scars, they said, might last longer. We hired a lawyer, and this time we went after Karen and the HOA. Neighbors, even the timid ones, came forward, letters, testimony, videos. The new HOA board stripped her name. Her house was up for sale in weeks. The silence she left behind was almost louder than her threats ever were. When the trial came, Karen never looked at us. The prosecution rolled out everything: the threats, the surveillance, the complaints, that damning doorbell video. Neighbor after neighbor took the stand, their voices firm. Karen's defense tried to claim she felt threatened, that she acted out of fear, but nobody bought it. The jury found her guilty on all counts, 20 years, no early release. The HOA settled quietly with an apology from the new president. It wasn't full justice, nothing could be, but it was something. Now, some nights I wake up to the echo of that gunshot, see my daughter falling, her bike tipping over, and it squeezes the air out of my lungs. I think about how we all let Karen get this powerful, how we laughed her off, called her quirky instead of what she really was, a bully with a badge. We let her grow into something dangerous, one little silence at a time. And a child paid the price for it. But this isn't just about Karen or us. It's about what happens when people stop speaking up, when you trade a little bit of your peace for the sake of quiet. When you let someone rule by fear, by fines, by letters, by threats. We all saw the warning signs, but nobody did anything until it was too late. My daughter is healing. She walks now, slow but steady, and she smiles again. I'll never let anyone like Karen go unchecked around my family ever again. And if you're listening, don't wait for the worst. Don't look away from the quiet power plays, the little abuses that pile up until it's too late. Because one day, it could be you on your knees in the street wishing you'd done something sooner. So, what do you think? Was justice served, or did the system fail us until it had no choice? Share your thoughts, right, wrong, or somewhere in the mess between. Because the only way we fix this is by talking, by standing up, by never letting silence win again.